PCN is brought to you in part by the following underwriters.
Coming up this week on PCN, we bring you to an intersection dedication in Pembroke, a reading garden, ribbon cutting in Duxbury, and a World War II exhibit in Kingston.
PCN brings you to an elementary school in Plymouth as they plant tomatoes that were grown at the Sheriff's Farm and will be part of school lunches in the fall.
We get a preview from the Jones River Village Historical Society on their summer happenings, and we meet a family who has benefited from the services of the Kennedy Donovan Early Intervention Organization.
Mike Guimaras is back with his Home Matters segment for more insight into the real estate market. And we begin in Pembroke with a very special dedication. Tiny Brown was a tremendously generous community member and businessman in the town of Pembroke. His passing was felt deeply last year in this family-oriented community. Now his name and reputation are displayed forever in an intersection dedicated to him. PCN stopped in for the dedication ceremony.
So today we're here to dedicate James Tiny Brown Memorial Square. Hope you can see that on camera. Tiny Brown was a Pembroke resident, longtime resident who passed away last year, who gave a tremendous amount to Pembroke and to really the whole South Shore. He was someone who I think epitomized the idea of doing well by doing good. He was a very generous man, gave back to all manner of causes. He was a firefighter, a scoutmaster, served his country in the armed forces. And obviously Tiny and Sons from local radio stations. People are very familiar with the advertisements. His boys do a good job. He's a very generous man. I think it's very fitting that we have this intersection here that will forever carry his name as we drive by, and people will remember and hopefully talk about Tiny and the legacy that he brought to the South Shore. I think anytime you can recognize someone who's given a lot back to the community, it creates a very positive feeling that, this kind of generosity, deserves to be remembered. And I think that's important for folks to understand and appreciate, for those who knew Tiny, and for many folks, years hence that didn't know him and will, learn about him and what it meant to be such a generous person. Hopefully that will inspire others to do the same. Well, I was excited to be able to, play a role in getting this done. Tiny was someone that I got to know. I admit I was scared to death of him when I first met him. He was 6'7", 320 pounds, but then when you get to know him, you realize he was more of a teddy bear at heart. And such a generous and gentle man, and so someone I was proud to be friends with, and glad that we could help to preserve his legacy.
Tiny was also a big part of our COA. Our Dull Men's Club, of which he was part of, meets here every Wednesday morning from 10 to 11. He was a stable force of the Dull Men, and we decided let's just have a little reception afterwards so people that know him can gather and share their stories. Dull Men is a fascinating group. The origins are out of England, and they're anything but dull. It's a tongue-in-cheek title, but it's really, they share information. I hear lots of laughs. They are in our big room on Wednesday morning. The doors are closed, and it's like a great social group.
Today was a mess. It was awesome. I mean, this is something that my father always wanted to do. He wanted to tie up traffic, and this was the best way to do it. It's a dedication to the corner. My father's property is on this corner, and they wanted to dedicate the corner to my dad. It was awesome. It was a big process, and I'm just glad that it's over. So now that we can go on with what Dad wanted us to do, is get to work and help the community. He was just a big man with a huge heart. He instilled in us and the community, it's hard work pays off. To get involved, to ask questions, to care about the person that's in line ahead of you or behind you, and to always be there for somebody that need and to help when somebody doesn't ask the right questions. And he instilled that in us at a very young age. It's a reminder of who my father was. Hopefully it's a symbol of what Pembroke's about. And the corner is, we call it it's Tiny's Corner. and it's an all-inclusive corner. So he was one of those people that accepted everybody, no matter what race, religion, or persuasion, or what beliefs they had. If they were friendly and respectful, my father gave him the time, it helped him. And his door was always open for everybody.
The town of Plymouth introduced what's being called the Tomato Sauce Initiative. This entails students taking part in planting and growing tomatoes and eventually using them in a tomato sauce for a pasta dinner in September. We stopped into the Hedge Elementary School to learn more about Healthy Plymouth's partnership with the nonprofit group Terra Cura and how they utilize the recently constructed garden beds throughout the community while allowing the school children to see the growing process of tomatoes from seed to sauce.
The Sheriff's Office has had a support role in this project, a project that when I first heard about it I was very enthused about. As you know, over on Obery Street we've got a 90-acre farm that we use for rehabilitative and therapeutic purposes for our inmates. We're growing plants over there all the time, but now to have the kids actually come to us, begin growing their plants there and then taking them out to the schools is a really wonderful thing.
For us to have an organic garden in a school setting is very important. The kids get to learn permaculture principles. Having a garden outside their door allows them to be a producer rather than a consumer. So the students have learned how to plant seeds, how to plant seedlings, how to take care of things without using pesticides. They've tried new foods, they've tried new herbs, and I think that's kind of exciting for the students to be able to do that right outside their door.
It's important for the student to see the process and what's involved in it, because it allows the student to visualize and understand how every single piece contributes to the growth of what they're growing and what they're consuming. For example, how bees themselves, how their role in the environment is simply to, how important it is for them to pollinate, how important it is for them to introduce the end product. Even small things like worms, small things like other small bugs and insects that students normally would find gross or insignificant. They play a critical role in the production of these plants, and it's important for students to see that.
This is a great club. I've loved every minute of it. We started together in September, so we've been together every week since September. And we also have a SNAP educator, Carol Guerin, comes, and she's going to do salsa for the kids today. So it's been a really good experience. I think they've learned a lot about healthy eating, and it's just been fantastic for them to be out in the garden with me every week.
What we learn is going to be much, much greater than what we eat, and that's going to be a wonderful thing too. I know that tomato sauce is something all the kids seem to be looking forward to.
I absolutely love that, from seeds to sauce. And you see it so much of these gardening and kids being involved in gardening and how important it is to raise your own stuff and eat your own stuff. And that was a great story.
Yeah, it's the best time to learn too when you're a kid. I remember, and you probably had this too, I think it was kindergarten or first grade, they would give us a sunflower seed or a couple, and you're planting, you get that one big sunflower.
Yeah.
We didn't eat the sunflower at the end. These kids actually they're going to have a big pasta dinner in September, so we'll probably have to follow up on that and see how that goes.
Absolutely, yeah, that's terrific. The Duxbury Library had a ribbon cutting for the Reading Garden entrance that they've been working on for 4+ years. PCN stopped in to get this wonderful story.
Here for the ribbon cutting for the Reading Garden entrance for the Duxbury Free Library. We could not be more thrilled. We were reminiscing this morning that our first meeting for this project was 4 years ago this summer. And the planning for it goes back even farther than that. So we had a great group of people working on it and support from our community. And today it feels like I equated it to having your child go off to school. We're so excited. We had such tremendous support. We had a core committee working on the garden. We had support from the incorporated board of the library and the friends of the library and the staff of the library. For our fundraising appeal, we put it out to the whole town. We received letters of support. We received checks from $5 to $50,000. We had people stopping us to say they were so excited to see that something was finally being done with this space to make the library even more of a welcoming space than it already was. We had town staff pitching in, saved us a lot of money on the project, and it really does speak to the community effort. The library is an awesome center of our town. We There's nobody in town who doesn't use the library, and this is the finishing touch on what is already a great space.
Today is the culmination of a lot of work by a lot of people. The Incorporated Board, which I represented as president, was really to help make it possible. It was satisfying to watch it get to this point. It was satisfying to have some little victories along the way. We raised all the money privately, and it has been a real success. Duxbury had a private library up until 1968, at which point the Duxbury Free Library Incorporated took over the management of the money, but the library itself was given to the town. Including all the books and so on and so forth. So our role has always been as steward of the money that people leave to the library, and also to make sure that it's used in a way that's compatible with the wishes of the donor. And we've been very faithful to that standard. When we started, I'm not sure anybody thought we'd get this far, but with the help of the generosity of the patron that Lainey talked about, Nancy Herndon, thanks to her efforts, thanks to the efforts of a great many people, including Rockland Trust, it really did happen. Lainey Mutkowski, who is succeeding me as the president of the Incorporated Board, will do a wonderful job. She's been a library supporter beyond belief. She's supported it in all manner of ways, so she's been great.
The Jones River Village Historical Society is a Kingston nonprofit organization whose mission is to collect, preserve, and educate the public about the history of the town. They hold many wonderful education and entertainment events each summer, and PCN stopped by their headquarters at the Major John Bradford Homestead to get a preview.
We have a lot of members here gathering. We're having a nice luncheon inside our barn. The house is also open for tours. We have it all dressed up for our summer season. We have a really big, exciting announcement to make. We're going to be launching our Bark Lejeune. It's a 100-year-old catboat sailboat that we have restored to her glory. So it's going to be on August 26th. We just don't have a time yet. We're watching the tide.
So today is basically our open house. All the members come. We have things throughout the year, but this is really the kickoff for the summer season. We have breakfast through July and August every Sunday. And that's where I come in. I'm the tour guide, basically. Coming here and being the tour guide or docent is really, for me, it's a chance to give back to the community. It's great to see. In modern times, I think you see less and less of people getting together and doing something as a community. More times people just doing things with close friends and family. So it's nice to see a chance where everyone in the town can get together, do something good. I wish more people were involved. I think it's one of those things where you give back to the community and you get back as well. Every year, the Kingston third grade, this is the field trip to come to the Bradford House. And we had probably about 135 kids or so. And it's great to see because they're at that age where lots and lots of questions. And it's a chance for them not only to learn town history, but also to see what kids' lives were like back in colonial times and the differences and the similarities, and they really become totally enthused. It's great to see at that age everything they see and they can touch and all that, and they love coming to the Bradford House, and hopefully they pass on that enthusiasm to the rest of the family. We see them here this summer at the breakfasts.
We were lucky enough to be able to obtain this boat called the Bark Lejeune. It's really a Duxbury cat. It was made by George Shiverick across the street from the Bradford House. We were requested if we wanted to have this boat because they were going to dispose of it, and we took it roughly in 2005. Well, it sat around in a backyard for until 2010, and we committed to actually restoring it. And after all this time, we've now come up with a boat, and we're going to put it in the water August 26th. We actually have a date.
Being president of the Historical Society has given me many opportunities, not only to make new friends, but make an impact on our 100% volunteer society. We're a nonprofit. So everything that we make from every event, 100% goes back. And in that way, we're able to maintain and preserve the Major John Bradford home.
The Kingston Collection hosted a World War II exhibit, which included uniforms, equipment, and artifacts from that era. Wartime came to life as well in an engaging, educational, living reenactment. PCN stopped in for the story.
Today we're at the Kingston Collection. We are the 101st Airborne Division, the 502nd Parachute Infantry Regiment. Today we are dressed in our D-Day uniforms, and we are representing what the 502nd looked like during the drop into Normandy. The 101st Airborne Division were issued 2 Medal of Honors for the entire World War II. Our colonel or our battalion was one of the recipients, who led a charge on the causeway with a .45 caliber pistol against a machine gun, and later led a bayonet charge, one of the few in modern times. We do everything as period correct as possible. Our uniforms, our ranks, our titles. Presently I am portraying a major, and I am the company commander. I sit in the background and watch everyone else run into battle. At present, we have 2 companies. Most reenactment units have 1 company. We're allowed to have 2. So we have a little bit more rank than what the other units have. This unit is based from people from the age of 16 up to the age of 65. Everybody has their own little niche and does things for different reasons. In reenactment, you could be an armor guy, you can be an infantry soldier, you can be Navy, do just about anything you want, including German or Italian. We have reproduction newspapers of the time period. We have original and reproduction things. And also we like to thank the mall management and the Kingston Police Department with their coordination that allowed us to bring weapons into the mall. They're all safe. They're either reproductions or dummies, incapable of firing live ammo. It's very educational for the young children to come in. And yes, we are even conducting gun safety awareness on these weapons. Most of us do this to preserve the history and the life of the soldiers during World War II, our greatest generation. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here to do it. If a World War II vet walks in here, we all jump to attention, because they did what we pretend to do.
The Kennedy Donovan Center Plymouth Early Intervention is a specialized program certified by the Department of Public Health that provides services to young children who have or are at risk for developmental delays. Early intervention services include parent education, physical, speech and language and occupational therapies, service coordination, nutrition, socialization groups, and transition to school planning. Plymouth Early Intervention serves Carver, Duxbury, Halifax, Hanover, Hanson, Kingston, Marshfield, Pembroke, Plymouth, and Plimpton. We met up with a family in Hanson to get this story.
We came across early intervention. It was actually initially recommended to us by one of our neighbors. And shortly after there, we were a little bit hesitant at first, not knowing quite what it was, getting into a state program. It was kind of new to us. And then shortly thereafter, it was actually recommended to us by our neurologist. And then from there, we did contact, filled out the application. They came out, did an assessment, determined that Parker was approved for the program. And from there, we just went forward. So essentially, we have Joan, who comes out to our house once a week. After the initial assessment, they come out to the house and they just do hands-on with him. They acknowledge his delays, they learn what his delays are, what his disabilities may be, what potential disabilities may be in the future, what they're looking at going forward. And they make recommendations from there. Some of it is, I would recommend you go see a neurologist, and we're gonna do a write-up with that neurologist. Other than that, there's also things that they just do assessments where they'll come out and just help in any delay possible, whether it's he has eating troubles or whatever it may be. We have quite a few different outlets of assistance. With Parker specifically, it came down to eating. He would have a hard time. His breathing was very troubled due to the VSD. He would, you could give him a bottle. Initially, we were sitting with him for about an hour and a half just to take a bottle, where a normal kid at his age, even 3 months, 4 months old, would probably be taking that bottle about 15, 20 minutes. Sometimes we'd be talking hour and a half, 2 hours, and we might have got a half a bottle down. So it was just basic things like eating. Other things were just basic delays. His movements were just delayed, or some of his smooth movements were maybe a little bit more twitchy or a little bit off tone. So it was just something that jumped out to us immediately. The way it worked for us, I mean, it was just unbelievable. I would honestly say that with early intervention, it pretty much just, it really just saved us with Parker. We had no clue which way to go. It really gave us a buffer between us and every single doctor's appointment where we would have Joan out here, hands-on, kind of giving us a little sense of direction, saying, you know, I see what you see, but relax about it. I've seen this before. This is what to expect. This is what to anticipate. And it really just gave you that peace of mind. I think that every parent's looking for with a child.
We are pleased to have back on set Mike Gamaris, who's the owner, broker of RE/MAX Spectrum, for his segment, which we call Home Matters. Welcome back, Mike.
Thanks for having me.
Every time you're here, we talk about the state of the market. Now it is June.
It is.
Almost July.
Almost.
What is, are the prices still increasing or are they stabilizing?
They are. Yeah, it's hard to believe. The prices are still going up. We've been talking about an inventory issue for quite some time now. And every month that goes by, we think it's going to stabilize, but we're still seeing issues. There's not enough homes on the market, and that continues to drive up prices. And so far this year, we're seeing about a 4% increase.
Wow.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be letting up either.
No, which is crazy.
It is.
I mean, back in April, we talked about how there was a glut on the market of homes, and I mean, of buyers and not enough homes,
Yep.
and that's still the case.
It really is still the case. I mean, people are still on the sidelines, and you're seeing, as listings do pop up, people are jumping in, and there's bidding wars, and homes are selling for
And
over
they're
asking.
selling really fast.
They are.
Right.
They are.
Now, the rates went up. The
Fed rate went up.
So the Fed rate went up, so we all assumed that the mortgage rates would go up.
Yeah.
What has happened?
Biggest misconception out there. People always try to tie to the Fed rate to see what the mortgage rates are going to do, but that's not what they're tied to typically. And generally, the lending community is anticipating rate increases, and they're building that in. So even though the Fed rate did increase in May into June, we had the lowest rates all year. So it really is still a great time to buy with low interest rates and affordability at its highest.
So buy, remortgage, and maybe do an addition or home improvements.
Yeah, if you're not going to move and you want to add on,
Yep.
just because you love your location, you just need more space, an addition is definitely the thing to do, and your rates, they'll never be better.
Wow, that's just amazing.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some myths that are related to buying a home. One of the most important things now is the credit score, and people think they have to have a perfect credit score to qualify for a mortgage to buy a home.
Yeah, it's not true. I mean, we have heard it predominantly from first-time home buyers because they kind of get it drilled in their head. You have to have great credit to get a mortgage, and that's the only way you can buy to get the best rates. But it's not like that anymore. With the market downturn in 2008, lenders were strict on their requirements, and things were difficult as far as getting mortgages.
Right.
It's changed drastically in the last couple of years with the economy stabilizing, things getting stronger. Lenders are now developing better programs that buyers with 600 to 700 credit scores will have no problem getting a mortgage. In fact, 50% of the mortgages written this year had buyers with credit scores between 600 and 700. So the myth that you need over 700 credit score to get a loan is not true anymore.
But is it still, for the first-time home buyer, the inventory that's out there in their affordability range is still very limited?
It is. The price points of homes that tend to go the quickest are in that 250 to 400 price point, which
They go right away, right?
Which is
'Cause there's
exactly
so
where your
few.
first-time home buyers are.
Right.
So it is very competitive, and that's why first-time home buyers really need to get pre-approved early, so they're in a stronger buying position when that home does come on.
Right. And is there any kind of special thing they can sign up for where the minute something comes on the market, they get notified?
Yeah, there are a lot of online tools.
Yep.
Folks know all the large tools like Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com.
Yep.
The best thing to do when you know what area you're searching in is definitely to get out to a realtor. They'll generally hear of listings that are coming on before they hit, and they can be ready for when that listing goes live to get
Another
you in.
reason why, especially first-time home buyers, should really connect with a good,
Absolutely.
solid, legitimate realtor.
There's a lot of expertise there to help you with that process.
Right. The other thing that, and I know some young people that I know that are trying to buy a home, is the myth about I have to have 20% down to purchase this house. That's not true?
It's not. The 20% was always tied to private mortgage insurance. So people felt if they had a smaller down payment, they were going to pay mortgage insurance that was going to make their payment higher.
Higher, right.
Again, there are so many programs that lenders are putting together to eliminate the PMI. And still, you can buy a home with as little as 3.5% down. In fact, there are some USDA government programs. If you're in certain rural areas, we can get a 100% loan.
Really?
Yeah. And the rates are still strong. So right now we're hovering around 4%. You're not going to pay a large premium on that either because of the government programs that are in place.
Now, is it wise for a young person, let's say a couple wants to buy a house and they have $25,000 to put down, but they don't have to put the whole $25,000 down. Is it better for them to put the minimum down and be able to have that extra cash for anything they need to do with the house?
Really depends on their situation, and that's why they'll need a really strong lender to help guide them through that. The home they're buying may need some improvements, so
Right.
they'll definitely recommend they keep some cash out. With rates as low as they are, it's the most affordable money you can ever
Right.
borrow.
And you can
Why
always
tie
pay
it
it off early.
You can.
Right? So just because you don't put it down at the beginning doesn't mean you can't accelerate your payments or pay the whole mortgage or more. Like I know I pay more on my principal every month.
Absolutely. Yeah, the smallest excess in your principal payment, $100 a month extra, knocks 6 years off your loan.
That's just incredible.
So you're almost, you really have to weigh out what's your payment going to be. I'd
Right.
like to keep it more affordable and then give myself some flexibility. If I want to pay more, I can.
Exactly. Okay, another myth. Since it's a seller's market right now and prices are rising, I should wait. I shouldn't buy.
Yeah, it's crazy. The mentality sometimes that people get out there is makes you wonder, what's being said.
Right.
The fear of there's another crash coming
Yes.
gets people thinking, well, I'm going to wait till it drops again, and then I'll go buy, like it was in 2009. I'll be able to get a really good deal. The problem is you just don't know where the rates are going to go. 1% increase in your interest rate is a 10% offset in the market value of the home. And so your affordability is really at question there. So the best investment is real estate, by far, long term. And if you are in a position that you're able to buy today, you should do that. You should get into the market. You should purchase an investment, and then you never know what 3, 5, 7 years is going to bring. You'll gain some equity and also have some tax benefit as well.
Now, can you just, in the last minute or so that we have, talk about the stress that's actually caused in this environment where if I put my house on the market, I'm going to get 25 people bidding on my house. Not only to the seller, but to the buyers.
Sure.
They know that they're not the only one that's going to bid on this house. How do you as a realtor help navigate, both for the seller and the buyer, that aspect?
The most important thing when you see prices escalating as quickly as they are, you have to always remember that the property has to appraise. So people can get caught up in bidding and going over, and unless they're a cash buyer and they don't care about what the true market value of the property is, and maybe it's a specialty property they just want to have, you still have to balance with your clients. What's realistic? What is a bank going to lend on? You can't get caught up in 20 people sitting on the sidelines, everyone's bidding and try to get the highest dollar. If it doesn't appraise, it's not going to close anyways.
Right.
So you really have to help, whether we're on the buy or sell side, help our clients understand that risk.
So just explain that, just if it doesn't appraise, what does that exactly mean?
So if you have a home on the market for $300,000,
Okay.
There's a bidding war and someone
And
offers
I'm offering you
$320,000.
$320,000.
Yep. And then the bank comes in to appraise to get your loan,
Yep.
and they say, no, it's worth $300,000. Well, either as a buyer, you're going to come up with $20,000 more in cash to still purchase at that.
Because they won't give you the mortgage for the
Correct.
over what it's appraised for. Okay.
Yep.
So it all has to
Or
do
the
with its
seller is
appraisal.
going to have to drop their price.
Oh,
And
gotcha.
the worst thing that can happen is you get to a point where you're far down the road in purchasing a home, and then the buyer and seller have to come back to the table to figure out where that deficiency is going to come from.
And you don't want that to happen.
Absolutely
Okay.
not.
So bottom line is have a realtor that knows what they're doing to work with you.
Definitely.
To navigate around all these issues.
Absolutely.
Thank you. We'll
Great.
have you back, and this is fascinating, probably
being
at the
here.
end of the summer, so that we can find out what happened in July and
Perfect.
August.
Sounds
Okay.
great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Mike. Thanks for watching. You can watch the show again on PACTV's Prime channel or on YouTube. Be sure to follow us on social media for more information about the show. We will see you in 2 weeks with a new show. Happy 4th of July, everyone.